What is good, my people, my peeps? We back in the building. We back in the building. Okay. Oh my gosh. What in the world? I did damn near a whole live stream and the audio was not being able to be heard. Oh, goodness gracious. So we're back. We're gonna recap. I definitely am not gonna hold you long. I'm gonna try to make this short and sweet, but I gotta bring this message to you because it's very important. Okay. Um, goodness gracious. That's wow. Okay, so let's get into it. Like I was saying in the previous live stream, y'all, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the doggone time. Uh, y'all see the title? There's a bill, y'all, that's going to lower the age of dependency to the age of 7 years old. That's right. You heard me. Hopefully this time. Hopefully this time, right, y'all? I mean, I was like upset a little bit because I could not get. I'm thinking y'all hearing me. I'm seeing people coming out the room, but nobody's saying that. Y'all can let me know if the audio is off, okay? You can tell me you can't hear me. And it was weird, y'all, because it was people just sitting here watching. We already know we got the watchers in the building, right? But anyway, let's get into it. As you enter the building, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Look here. Your current administration wants to lower the age of dependency. Okay? They want to lower the age of dependency to 7, meaning that your 7-year-olds will be classified as independent. Okay? You will have independent children. We're going to get into it because, see, I had came to you about 13 weeks ago, and I did a live stream called Live Pedophilia is on the Rise. And I know you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with anything? Pedophilia don't have to do anything with this bill, with them wanting to make your children grown-ass adults. But they're trying to say they're working on cuts that's going to help with food and the shortages and yada, 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 the BS. I tell you, we're dealing with principalities in high places. Okay? So let's get right to the first report so that y'all can be up to speed. And then I'm going to give my spiel on this conversation. Okay? Let me go ahead and get this all in the queue. I'm glad you all are rolling back in. As you come in the building, can you go ahead and hit the thumbs up? I would appreciate it. Let's hear what's going on with your current administrator, Stray Sean. Let's go.
Amendment. My amendment would strike an especially harsh provision in this bill that is rooted in cruelty, not policy. This simple, straightforward amendment would strike the work requirement provision in this big, bad, ugly bill that lowers the age of what we call a dependent child from 18 to 7. From 18 years old to 7 years old. So I'm abundantly clear. We're saying that 8, 9, and 10-year-olds are no longer considered dependent children. Where did this come from? Why is this necessary? Since when is a first grader not a dependent child? Preventing families with children as young as 7 from losing food assistance, that is what we're debating here. Amendment.
Okay.
My amendment was struck.
They're trying to say that they're writing, want this amendment because, you know, they're trying to help with budget cuts and things of that nature. But my thing is, what does making your child non-dependent, an independent adult, because that's what it's going to make by the age of 7. They're saying that your children can function on their own without your assistance. That's wild, y'all. Let's continue.
They've lowered the age of dependence from 18 to 7. So now, if you have an 8-year-old child, it is the belief of this administration that that child is self-sufficient and could work and support the family, could be left alone, doesn't need food aid of any kind. They've lowered the age of dependence.
Come on, say it again, brother.
To 7. So now, if you have an 8-year-old child, it is the belief of this administration that that child is self-sufficient and could work and support the family.
They can work
left alone
and support the family. Your 7-year-old, right, can be left alone. Shoot, people was calling child protective services on people when they was leaving their children alone. Back in the day, we was called latchkey kids, right? But we sure wasn't called adults. We sure wasn't labeled as grown-ass adult, independent, grown-ass adults at the age of children. Now, I broke down the fact of how child development works, okay? And I can speak on it because I got the credentials to back it. That's right. I told you all, infancy to 10 years old is considered a child. 10 years old to 19 years old is considered an adolescent. Now, I had this conversation with you all, and I told you, you know, we were talking about, this was a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, about how these older men are out here, you know, trying to get these young girls, 19-year-olds and younger, right? And I had said, they mind ain't ready for all that. Their mind is absolutely not developed for all that, all these decisions. But you know, people, you can say, hey, you can go to war at 18. Your government gonna say you qualify for war, but then you come step back on government soil, you can't drink a beer until you're 21. But baby, they trying to do an amendment to the bill to say your 7-year-old, 7, okay, is going to be reclassified as an independent adult child. A child, y'all. A 7-year-old child. We already know, if I told you a 19-year-old's frontal lobe ain't doggone developed to be making some decision on how they can get manipulated, what you think a 7-year-old's mind is going to be able to be done to? But they trying to say it's about, you know, budgeting and food epidemic and the crisis of higher costs in America. But what does these higher costs have to do with making your child, reclassifying your child as a doggone adult, independent, no longer dependent?
They've lowered the age of dependence from 18 to 7. So now, if you have an 8-year-old child, it is the belief of this administration that that child is self-sufficient and could work and support the family, could be left alone, doesn't need food aid of any kind. They've lowered the age of dependence from 18.
We heard you, brother. I need y'all to marinate on that. They ain't slick. I see right through them. I see lasciviousness sliding its slimy snake self throughout all this. Because you see, you got wolves, ravenous wolves in corners, and they get a hold of this information. And if this bill passes, oh my goodness, you won't be able to call the police when these pedophiles come running for your children at the age of 7. You won't, they're grown. The government is saying your children at the age of 7 be grown now. They'll be reclassified as independent. They're grown. They go work. They don't need no supervision, none of that. These ravenous wolves known as petties is gone pedophiles. They gonna be ready. They gonna be waiting not outside the middle school. They be gonna be waiting outside the elementary school, waiting for your children. You won't be able to do nothing. Can't call the police. Can't make no hospital reports. Can't do nothing. These ravenous wolves be ready to say, "Hey, I'm ready to take this 7-year-old down the aisle. We getting married because them 19-year-olds done hit the wall." I told you, a slippery slope. Y'all dealing with these younger women, younger. And this bill, if it's passed, this amendment, baby, if they say a 7-year-old is now a grown-ass adult, it's going to be hell and high water. It's going to get darker and darker in the nation. Okay? Let's go to some other states and see what they talking about. The same thing.
For middle-class tax cuts, but to move process that we're involved in here today. And this bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. How do I know? Because Senator Chuck Grassley told us so.
They fight
a huge burden on the states by forcing them to pay for anywhere from 5 to 25% of food assistance. Chair Fox, the governor of your state said, and I quote, "If Congress goes forward with these plans, our state will be forced into perilous budget decisions. Should North Carolinians lose access to food, or should we get rid of other essential services?" End quote. North Carolina's on the hook for up to $700 million per year under this proposal. That's the equivalent of 8,900 public school teacher salaries in North Carolina. Republicans want states to do their dirty work and take food away from people, and it doesn't end there. This budget does something else incredibly egregious. It changes the definition of dependent from children under the age of 18 to children over the age of 6. Once a kid turns 7 years old, their parents could lose food assistance unless they meet new paperwork and work requirements. I wonder if the people who came up with that policy have children or understand that there are summer breaks and there's spring break. I have several, and let me tell you, they eat more as they grow, not less. It's truly beyond the pale what this budget would do to children in our country. And let's be clear about what we're talking about here. The average person receives $6 per day in food assistance. Let me say that again, $6 a day. No one chooses to sit at home and not work for $6 a day. $6 a day doesn't build you a life. It can, though, build you a bridge to the next paycheck, the next opportunity, the next moment of stability.
$6 a day.
CBO estimates that the new paperwork requirements alone will take food away from at least 3 million people. They didn't say that 3 million people will receive a little less food. They say 3 million people will receive no food assistance. So much for claiming that you won't cut benefits. Hunger is a policy choice. Republicans in this room are choosing to allow children to go to bed without dinner. Seniors skipping meals so they can afford their medicine. Parents sacrificing their own nutrition so their kids can eat. Single mothers having to choose between leaving their 7-year-olds at home or to let them go more hungry. Everyone in this country is struggling with higher costs already. And instead of addressing that problem, Republicans are choosing to make it worse, and it's shameful. You claim you're rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, or holding the states accountable for high error rates. This bill does not tackle fraud and does not include any common sense policies that help improve program efficiency for middle class.
Let me say this. Them trying to make your 7-year-old independent no longer require you can't put them, get some money back on your taxes. You know how y'all do. Tax season roll around, you can claim your children as dependent. Not no more, baby. They independent now. But they not slick, and I see through they BS. Because if this bill passes, These folks talking about, oh, it's $6 a day. That's what it takes to feed you. Y'all was just having minimum wage wars because it has been $7 for minimum wage for at least 50 plus years. How do I know? Because I've been here that long. Holla back if you hear me. Some companies just now making it up to $15, but that's rare and far and few in between. But now they trying to throw y'all got to listen, because the devil is in the details. Let me say that one more again. The devil is in the doggone details. And you must pay attention to the details of a bill and the wording of their bills that they want to change into law and make your 7-year-old a full-fledged adult. They are now independent. And now they talking about who would want to stay at home when you can earn $6. You know, it bridges a gap. I see what you doing, you sly, slick, lascivious demon devil, you principality. You gonna say, send your children to work. Send them 7-year-olds to work. Send them to the fields where we done ran out the immigrants and the illegals. That's right. I know y'all can't see because some of y'all ain't got foresight. Y'all got hindsight. Y'all see after the shit happens. After everything go down. I see it before it come through. The devil is in the doggone details. You making a 7-year-old independent? Then you talking about, yeah, $6. Now that make it, yeah, you would think a 7-year-old would, because they mind ain't ready. They frontal lobe ain't ready. A 7-year-old would say, yeah, $6 sounds good to me. I'll go work, mama. I'll go help the family. I'll take $6 a day to go in the fields and pick the doggone fruits and everything that's rotten, and there ain't enough folks to pick it come harvest time for $6. I'm grown now. The government said so. Y'all, let me tell you, these some slick, sly folks. And we can't forget about them ravenous wolves that's waiting for this to pass. They mouths is watering right now. Because they going to be ready to come swoop up all your 7-year-old children. Because they grown. And ain't nothing you can do about it. Matter of fact, they probably go petition the court, they doggone self, and ask for they status to be renewed back to not being a pedophile. Okay? They'll be ready to get that title off of them, and hell, they'll be saying, I'm a upright citizen. If you can't, if your family's having trouble, you're gonna have websites popping up. We'll marry your 7-year-olds. Y'all remember that video, the live stream I did 13 weeks ago about the young girl who was 9 and her husband was 27 years old? Let's run that back real quick. Y'all remember that? Now, that's when I said the pedophilia spirit is on the rise. Because we got these folks, they conditioning your mind, men's minds, to keep getting these young and young women. And when they get to the point that they think these men whose mind are already teetering on a little sickness, okay? I hear a lot. Some of y'all might consider it a little. But if you think about young children, 15, 16, that's adolescence. Then it's an issue, it's a problem. Okay? Let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see. I told you, just in 1930, they had a 9-year-old married to a 27-year-old man. This was just in 1930. Y'all ain't too far from removed from 1930. Y'all not too far removed from 1930, baby boy, baby girl. Let's run that back. Get this on ready, let y'all hear. Let me see if I can. We ain't got to listen to the whole thing. Let me see if I can get to a crucial point.
You're looking at a husband and wife.
Come on.
That's right.
Tell them.
That's right. A husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And now I want you to also understand that this husband and wife photo that you're looking at, it wasn't taken too long ago. It was taken in the 1930s, okay? Yes, hold on. Like I said, once again, recap, you will be hearing background noise.
This live stream took place 13 weeks ago. Days ago.
Hey, good morning.
You can go find it and look it up. It's called Live Petals is on the Rise.
So, the photo that you're looking at, let me get you up here real quick. Shout out to Drip King in the building, okay? The photo that you're looking at is a photo of a husband and his wife, a 9-year-old child. That's right. In the 1930s. Let me say this. Just because something happened a long time ago, don't mean it needs to be happening now. Okay? We need to have discernment and judgment, and we need to stop trying to allow this pedophilia spirit to keep rising up. Hello, welcome into the room. Put you up here, give you a little.
Y'all go check out the rest of that live stream. If y'all can't see, if this doggone amendment, this bill is passed, the devastation to the nation that this will cause. The devastation to the nation that this will cause. Let me go back so you can hear some more testimonies. Because I know you have to understand, we have people that make their logic off of because what your government says is law, knowing that sometimes you got to go on morals and principles and make judgments over with morals and principles, regardless if it's law, regardless if your state say you can marry this girl at 16. You should be like, man, no, they not ready. But they don't do that. This is why you hear me so passionate today to tell you. They don't do that. You will not have a nation of people saying they not ready, because we see what's going on right now in 2025. You're going to start hearing, hell, you might hear the next podcast king come on the scene and tell you that 19-year-olds have hit the wall and go get you a 7-year-old. Then that might sound ludicrous, but this dang on law is just as ludicrous. And they'll give you the doggone spill about, well, your government made it illegal for your 7-year-old to be grown. They done made them independent. They are no longer your dependents. They are considered to be grown, left at home. And we know they trying to tag it along with talking about the crisis, food crisis and things like that. What does a 7-year-old have to do with the food crisis when you should be focusing on because you sent $3 billion American dollars over to the Ukraine, but you could have focused that money in over here. Okay? And I know y'all gonna say, that was Biden. Let me tell y'all something, because y'all don't know about y'all. I'm trying to tell you, some of y'all don't know about politics. Some of y'all don't know politics. For real. Because laws and amendments and bills and how economy is functioning, when a president is in there for 4 freaking years, if they might do 1 term, 2 terms. They're not riding off of the look is not from day shine of what they did while they were in office. So when President Trump, the first time he was in office and the economy was looking up, that's because that is the backflow of from when Obama was in office. It doesn't just happen swiftly and justly. But I'm not here to help you understand that, because you're not going to study. You don't want to understand it. You want to be in your own mindset. Okay? And think that and you haven't studied to show yourself approved. You haven't. So people, if this bill passes, do you think that people going to run out right away? I'm talking about pedos. Do you think that they would run out right away and go snatch them up, a 7-year-old? Well, you're going to have some crazies do that, and be under a law that hey, that's a grown adult. She's 7. He's 7. Ain't did nothing wrong. But I'm telling you how the system how things work. People got to let that warm up and simmer in the pot before you go start hearing folks talking about they want to get them a 7-year-old and take them to the altar. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand, that just because you have a president that is in office right now does not mean everything that they sign, everything that they put into or sign and cancel with the executive orders does not mean it's going to help your plight right off the rip. Some things you might see right away, but everything your president is doing while he is serving his term does not take effect while he is there. The benefits that all Americans see from the terms that your presidents have served happen after the terms have ended. And the new president, or if that president runs for a second term, then you'll start benefiting off of what was placed in the term that they held. I need you to understand that. Y'all think y'all gave all the shine and glory and some things to Trump when he first. I'm trying to tell you, some of that stuff came from Obama. But y'all don't understand. Let's listen to these folks talk about making your 7-year-olds independent, grown adults. Okay? Let's go.
But to move process that we're involved in here today. And this bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. How do I know? Because Senator Chuck Grassley told us so. It puts a huge burden on the states by forcing them to pay for anywhere from 5 to 25% of food assistance. Chair Fox, the governor of your state said, and I quote, "If Congress goes forward with these plans, our state will be forced into perilous budget decisions. Should North Carolinians lose access to food, or should we get rid of other essential services?" End quote. North Carolina is on the hook for up to $700 million per year under this proposal. That's the equivalent of 8,900 public school teacher salaries in North Carolina. Republicans want states to do their dirty work and take food away from people, and it doesn't end there. This budget does something else incredibly egregious. It changes the definition of dependent from children under the age of 18 to children over the age of 6. Once a kid turns 7 years old, their parents could lose food assistance unless they meet new paperwork and work requirements. I wonder if the people who came up with that policy have children or understand that.
Because I know some of y'all in the back don't understand. You're going to say, well, that when you are classified as an independent person, that means you can go out and make your way in the world today. You understand? Let's continue.
There are summer breaks and there's spring break. I have several, and let me tell you, they eat more as they grow, not less.
Do. Yes, they do.
It's truly beyond the pale what this budget would do to children in our country. And let's be clear about what we're talking about here. The average person receives $6 per day in food assistance. Let me say that again, $6 a day. No one chooses to sit at home and not work for $6 a day. $6 a day doesn't build you a life. It can, though, build you a bridge to the next paycheck, the next opportunity, next moment of stability. CBO estimates that the new paperwork requirements alone will take food away from at least 3 million people. They didn't say that 3 million people will receive a little less food. They say 3 million people will receive no food assistance. So much for claiming that you won't cut benefits. Hunger is a policy choice. Republicans in this room are choosing to allow children to go to bed without dinner. Seniors skipping meals so they can afford their medicine. Parents sacrificing their own nutrition so their kids can eat. Single mothers having to choose between leaving their 7-year-olds at home or to let them go more hungry. Every higher costs already. And instead of addressing that problem, Republicans are choosing to make it worse, and it's shameful. You claim you're rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, or holding the states accountable for high error rates. This bill does not tackle fraud and does not include any common sense policies that help improve program efficiency for middle class tax cuts.
The devil is in the detail. If they focusing on the food crisis here in America, what does that have to do with making your 7-year-old independent? Huh? Riddle me this. What does that have to do with making your 7-year-old independent? They need a new workforce. That's right. You see, you remember when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail and he said he getting rid of all these migrants and illegals, and now we know he's deporting you criminals, you folks in jail, you keep acting up, he deporting your ass too. Some to some foreign country. Get gone. And mainly, you know, that'll be black folk, because y'all got the highest percentage. This percentage of arrests going to jail. Y'all gonna get deported. They ain't already deported some of them doggone jail in Louisiana, I believe. They already deported them to other places. They need a new workforce, because on the campaign trail, y'all remember when President Trump said he getting rid of these illegals because he gonna get y'all free up these black jobs. Excuse me, sir? Yeah, he said he gonna free up the black jobs. People, y'all don't remember that conversation when people were saying, "What is a black job?" Let's look it up, because I want y'all to think. I'm just talking out the side of my neck. I bet real quick, black folks ain't going to go to work in no fields. Black folks ain't going to go to work in no fields. Okay? They got degrees, baby. They got degrees. So they got to find them a new workforce. Y'all can't see. I try to tell y'all, why would you operate 7-year-olds, making them independent, making them be able to stay at home? Nobody's gonna call CPS on you no more, moms and dads. Why would you make them independent on the crisis in America? That's my question. Why are you not focusing on the crisis in America? You see, I don't understand how you done invited folks over. I do. I really do. How you invited folks over here, but you can't even feed your own family. But you invited white Africans, South Africans over here, because you said they still going through a crisis over. I'm telling you, I done told y'all it's deeper than what y'all can see. You give away so much money here, there, and everywhere, but you got veterans right now on Memorial Day sleeping outside of buildings, and they done fought for this country. and now they can't even eat. It's crazy. Let's continue. Let me see about, I want y'all to remember about the black jobs. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if y'all can remember when Trump, black jobs, he was loosening up them folks with these black jobs, honey. Okay, let me see. Here we go.
It could be 19 and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs. Is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19 and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs. And they're taking...
it's complicated. A job done by a majority of African.
What do you do?
I'm an orthopedic surgeon.
Sir? What's a black job?
Black job is a contractor and a renewable energy developer.
Oh, that's what you do?
That's what I do.
That's a black job. Thank you. Hold on a second. What's a black job?
Designing products for a multi-billion-dollar bank.
Wow. Thank you, Buck. Excuse me. How you doing? Can I ask you a question? Yes, sir. What's a black job?
Working for myself.
Okay, you know what? I know y'all can't see, it's just audio. But it's a brother going to other people, black folk, asking what a black job. Because y'all remember when Trump said he freeing up all this for these black jobs. Hold on for a minute. Let me see. Let's see it. Let's see if we got it right here.
It's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do was leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it.
What is a black job? It was the job Trump considered going back to picking fruit and picking whatever's in the fields because he kicking the illegals out. I know y'all don't want to hear it, but he said he was going to make America great again. He said he was going to make America great again. Okay? Let me see. Let's go back.
I think today.
Hold on. Let's go back so we can close it out. I want y'all to go ahead. We're going to run this back for you all that come in later. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay? Let's get it. Let's go. Matter of fact, let's hear from some folks that's paying attention, because I know some of y'all don't be on it like that. But let's hear from some other folks paying attention to what's going on.
Trying to say your child stops being a dependent at age 7. Y'all, I can't make this up. There is a tax bill in Congress right now that is trying to erase your child as a dependent at age 7. Right now, parents can claim their kids until they're 18 or older if they're in school. That means tax credits, help with rent, food assistance, lowering that to age stretching every dollar. They're already balance the budget. If you
they trying to make your 7-year-olds grown. They trying to make them independent. That's right. We're going to listen to what, because each state is fighting. This is from North Carolina. Let's
For
go.
middle class tax cuts, but to move process that we're involved in here today. And this bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. How do I know? Because Senator Chudden on the states by forcing them to pay for anywhere from, and I quote, if this goes forward with these plans, our state will be forced into perilous budget decisions. Should North Carolinians lose access to food, or should we get rid of other essential services? End quote. North Carolina is on the hook for up to $700 million per year under this proposal. That's the equivalent of 8,900 public school teacher salaries in North Carolina. Republicans want states to do their dirty work and take food away from people. This budget does something else. It changes the definition of dependent from children under the age of 18 to children over the age of 6. Once a kid turns 7 years old, their parents could lose food assistance unless they meet new paperwork and work requirements. I wonder if the people who came up with that policy have children or understand that there are summer breaks and there's spring break. I have several, and let me tell you, they eat more as they grow, not less. It's truly beyond the pale what this budget would do to children in our country. And let's be clear about what we're talking about here. The average person receives $6 per day in food assistance. Let me say that again, $6 a day. No one chooses to sit $6 a day. $6 a day doesn't build you a life. It can, though, build you a bridge to the next paycheck, the next opportunity, the next moment of stability. CBO estimates that the new paperwork requirements alone will take food away from at least 3 million people. They didn't say that 3 million people will receive a little less food. They say 3 million people will receive no food assistance. So much for claiming that you won't cut benefits. Hunger is a policy choice. Republicans in this room are choosing to allow children to go to bed without dinner. Seniors skipping meals so they can afford their medicine. Parents sacrificing their own nutrition so their kids can eat. Single mothers having to choose between leaving their 7-year-olds at home or to let them go more hungry. Everyone in this country is struggling with higher costs already. And instead of addressing that problem, Republicans are choosing to make it worse, and it's shameful. You claim you're rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, or holding the states accountable for high error rates. This bill does not tackle fraud and does not include any common sense policies that help improve program efficiency for middle class.
Oh, what a slippery slope America is on. When you think making 7-year-olds, reclassifying them as independent, making them adults. You got parents that put out there as 18 or 16 because they're struggling. You're going to have this, as much as, oh goodness, we got a crisis of mental illness. You're going to have folks putting out their 7-year-olds to the street because they can't come and help the family. Boy, this is something deep. This is something deep. One more and we're going to get out of here.
My amendment will strike an especially harsh provision in this bill that is rooted in cruelty, not policy. This simple, straightforward amendment will strike the work requirement provision in this big, bad, ugly bill of what we call a dependent child from 18 to 10 years old to 7 years old. So I'm abundantly clear. We're saying that 8, 9, and 10-year-olds are no longer considered dependent children. Where did this come from? Why is this necessary? Since when is a first grader
First
not
grade.
a dependent child. Preventing families with children as young as 7 from losing food assistance, that is what we're debating here.
You're going to have folks pulling up to the elementary school now. They're going to have men waiting outside the elementary school if this bill get passed. You're going to have them ravenous waiting for this bill to get passed. They have to do with the other. What making a 7-year-old classified as independent have to do with the government working on the food crisis and high rates in America? Nothing at all. Y'all get the thumbs up. I am so happy that you all came through. Appreciate you. Look here. I want to say I appreciate everyone who has served in the military. I know today is Memorial Day, and I am a military brat. I have had my brothers, fathers, uncles in Army or Air Force, one of the services. So I just want to salute you all that have served or laid down your life for this country. You know, we all at certain times are waking up to see what is going on, but I still wanted to salute you all. I'm out, and much love.